Hello, welcome along. It's Brett Elliott, medical herbalist. Thanks for joining us and coming along to this live broadcast. It's my first live Facebook broadcast, so forgive me if I'm a little rusty. This is all new to me, so I'm going to have some fun with it tonight. We've been doing some webinars lately, doing long webinars, like 45 minutes, an hour long. So I thought what we'd do is do some short broadcasts, and tonight on Facebook, what I'm going to do is focus on parasites, specifically intestinal parasites. I hope you've had your dinner, because it's not really a great topic before eating. You might have seen the program on television called Monsters Inside Me. There's some pretty horrific things that people pick up around the world as far as parasites go. And I have seen a lot of it in clinic, in practice. A lot of people that, especially when they go traveling, they're concerned about picking up parasitic infections. Malaria is a common one, but I have met people that have been, say, whitewater rafting or canoeing, kayaking, that sort of thing, and often pick things up from the water. In fact, I met one guy recently. He had such an infestation that he said when he did a parasite cleanse, what came out of his body was like the length of his forearm. So it was a huge, huge parasite, and it must have been in his body for a long, long time. So that would be a tapeworm, and they can be very, very large. So yeah, just to scare you with something to start with. So what sort of parasites do we get? Well, apart from the little things that we have on our bodies, like occasionally we might pick up things like fleas or head lice, other microorganisms that live on our skin. There's also protozoa, so a form of bacteria, microorganisms, single-celled organisms. Some people pick up things on the farm like cryptosporidium. We also get parasites from sometimes from meats like salmonella from chicken, Campylobacter. That's a big one recently. You might have seen news about that. You know, Campylobacter is on chicken, especially in the supermarkets. So it's not a good idea to wash raw meat or raw chicken in the kitchen, because the bacteria goes absolutely everywhere and you will pick it up. So yeah, as we go through this too, if you've got any questions at all, please just type them in and I'll do my best to answer them as we go along. So what we're going to focus on mainly are intestinal parasites. So these are the parasites that we can treat with herbs and with food. And they're the most common problem that we have, is intestinal parasites. So there is a couple of forms of intestinal parasites, and a very, very common one is a fungal infection called Candida. And that's a topic for another night, but let it be said that the course that we give will also treat Candida. So what we're going to suggest will be very, very good for reducing Candida if you have symptoms of Candida, such as thrush. Now, there are hundreds of types of intestinal parasites that you can get. I'm going to focus on the main ones, the most common ones, and especially the ones that we get in New Zealand. In America, they say 40 million Americans are infected with the common roundworm and pinworm. So I guess we could probably say it'll be a similar amount of people in New Zealand. But in New Zealand, the most common worm we are infected with is, welcome along, roundworm. And that's one we pick up from animals. So that's the most common worm that we're infected with. We can get worms from other sources, so we can pick it up from drinking water, contaminated drinking water, and we can also pick up other infections from drinking water, such as cholera, which is, as you might know, is a massive epidemic in Africa at the moment. Meats are a particularly common source of parasites, so you've got to be very careful with meats. Like I was saying about raw chicken, you know, you really don't want to touch raw chicken or wash raw chicken. You want to handle it very, very carefully in the packaging as well. But fish is another very, very common source of parasites. So worms in particular you can pick up from fish, and it pays to really well cook fish. Raw fish can be an issue. So where else? What about pets and animals? The very common source of parasites are pets. So there's a couple of particular worms that come from pets. So there's one called Toxocara canis, which comes from dogs, and there's another one called Toxocara cati, which comes from cats. It sounds like, you know, they've named it after the cat. And what the cats do is they pick it up on their feet and they bring it into the house. And so the cats themselves might get infected and leave larvae around the place from coming out of their anus. So you've got to be careful with cats. But from their feet, they can come as well. And children. So good old, dirty old children coming into the house, not having taken their shoes off or cleaned their feet. So things can come into the house that way. And these little larvae from these worms can be airborne. So you've got to be very careful with hygiene. Hygiene is the biggest thing, really, to avoid picking up parasites. So moving on, what can we do to prevent ourselves getting infested or infected with parasites? So obviously washing our hands, taking off our shoes, having clean feet inside the house, cutting your fingernails, keeping them, very short, things like that. General hygiene, just being clean is a very good way to prevent infestation, and also being very, very careful with meats and making sure you've got good, clean drinking water. Don't get drinking water from anywhere other than, bottled water or main supply that is safe. Be careful with rainwater tanks and things like that. You can pick up a lot of parasitic infections from rainwater tanks if they're not kept clean. So what are the signs and symptoms of a parasite infection? We can get a lot of intestinal disturbances, particularly from intestinal parasites. That'll be the first thing we notice. So we'll get bowel disturbances. We'll get a loose bowel. We'll get continual hunger. We'll feel hungry after eating. We'll be craving sugar a lot of the time because the parasites send out signals that they're hungry. And so we get these constant cravings, continual appetite. So even after we've had a meal, we'll feel like eating more and more sugar. We could end up with mucus or blood in the bowel movements. That can be a sign of a severe parasite infection. Itching anus. So if you get an itchy bum, particularly at night, because that's when the worms can come out and basically lay eggs so they can hatch, and you'll feel that tingling, itchy sensation. You'll also get fatigue, so feeling tired all the time, foggy, just not having your energy that you should have. Parasites basically suck your energy, and that's how they survive. So you can end up with chronic fatigue, basically. You can get also not just a constant cravings, but also feeling sometimes not like eating at all, just feeling almost nauseous, sick feeling. And that's because there's maybe parasites inside the body. Vomiting even. So there's a couple of other ones here that are not so common, but grinding of teeth and picking nose, aches and pains, and depression. So those are other signs. So I guess if you're looking for indications that you may have parasites, look for 2 or 3 of those symptoms. But what I generally recommend is to do a parasite cleanse every year regardless. So you would do it for a cat or a dog because we know they pick up worms pretty often. And in fact, even twice a year is a good idea. But absolutely for yourself as an adult, I would say do a deworming course once a year, every year. So what can we do? What I'm going to do now is just talk about a couple of the foods we can use and some of the herbs that we suggest for treating yourself for parasites. So it might be that time of year coming up. It's always a good thing to do in the spring. So some of the foods we can use: pumpkin seeds. They recommend 73 pumpkin seeds a day. Now, I would say you do that for 7 days. So just give yourself a good course of pumpkin seeds. 23 grams to 25 grams is roughly how many you would need. And the best thing to do is to grind those pumpkin seeds up and put them on your food. So if you're having some fruit or some porridge or something like that, put the pumpkin seeds onto that, or throw them into a smoothie, or even in a salad. It's a good way to get them down. Turmeric is another one. It's very, very common spice. It can paralyze and kill parasites. It's also very, very healing for the gut, so it's anti-inflammatory, and you would just basically stir that into water. So if you're not having a curry every night, which you can put turmeric into, then just get a teaspoon of turmeric, stir it into some water, and knock that down every day. And again, do that for 6 to 7 days. While you're doing this, it would be really good to avoid sugar, avoid sweets, avoid lots of simple carbohydrates that basically will feed a parasite. And have lots of spicy food, especially hot chili. Hot chili has a stunning effect on parasites. So a bit like when you have too much chili, your mouth will tingle and burn. Well, it's going to do the same thing to a parasite that's inside your body. It'll give it a real stun and knock it out. And basically also loosens your bowel, so it helps to eliminate the parasite. So those oils that are in chili, that hot oil that makes it hot, is what the active principle is. And here are some herbs we can use. And we use all of these herbs in our herbal detox program, which is a bowel cleanse, so that helps to eliminate the parasites. So number one is wormwood. Wormwood has another oil in it called thujone, and that actually kills worms. So it kills the parasites directly, and it's also laxative, so it gets your bowel moving and helps eliminate the parasite from the intestine. Then we've got cloves. So this is common cloves that you use in cooking, and all you do with those is you need about 6 cloves, grind them up, stir them into water, and you need to drink them. And you would do that also for 6 to 7 days. And best way to get a good anti-parasitic treatment is to combine several of these. So I normally say 3 at least. If you do at least 3 of these treatments at the same time, you'll have an effect on the parasite. So again, killing them, eliminating them, getting them out of the body, stunning them, all at the same time. And you need enough of a dosage of these things to actually get right through your gut and do the treatment. And so while you're taking these herbs and these foods recommended, like I was saying, it's good to avoid sugar, simple carbs and things like that, but also have a lot of vegetables and have less meat. So you have a lot of fiber going through your intestine and through your gut. And if you do think about doing our program, you actually are restricted onto just vegetables while you're doing it anyway. So that makes it work even better. The next herb I want to talk about is black walnut. Now, black walnut has a poison substance in it, toxic substance called juglone, and that's a pigment. So it's not poisonous to us, but it is very toxic to the parasite. And it's also very good for treating a number of bacterial infections. It's been known to treat syphilis and diphtheria and things like that. So very, very good, almost like an antiseptic antibiotic effect in your body. Next one is papaya. Papaya seeds are used, and we use papaya extract in our program. And that has, it interferes with the parasite function. So it actually interferes with their life cycle. So what I recommend doing is a colon cleanse while you're doing this, and that's what we recommend our herbal detox program for. So it's an anti-parasitic treatment, has all the herbs and all the foods combined together, and you do this for 14 days. So instead of just doing the 6 or 7 days, you do a full 14 days on this program, and that's going to absolutely eliminate parasites from your gut. And it should also treat your liver. Some people have concerns about flukes in the liver. That will also go there and help to eliminate that. The extra herb we have in the program is called golden seal, and we've also got some Turkish rhubarb. That goes through the liver and it flushes the liver. So that will help eliminate parasites from flukes from the liver. So all in all, the ultimate detox program, which you will see if you look into the at the side there, you will see a link to 2 things. The Parasite Cleanse ebook. If you click on that link, the first one, it says get the Parasite Cleanse free ebook. That'll give you the ebook which has got everything we've talked about, all the foods, all the herbs, and you'll be able to download that and get everything in a PDF so you can have a read through rather than trying to remember what I've said. So click on the link there and go for that and download it. It's free and it's been written by myself. So that's my gift to you. And the other thing is there's a coupon there, and you'll see that just below the link for the Parasite Cleanse ebook. There's a coupon there that says Parasite Bonus. Now, if you use that coupon Parasite Bonus, not only will you be able to you'll be able to use by following that link, you'll be able to purchase the detox program, which has got the parasite treatment in it and all the herbs and everything you need, and it's also got the recipes and everything to follow for the parasite treatment. But if you use the coupon Parasite Bonus, you'll get a free bottle of the colonnade, which has the black walnut, has the cloves, it has the wormwood, and it has a couple of other herbs, psyllium and cyprium, which help to cleanse the colon. So that's for eliminating the parasites. And what you do with that, after you've followed the 14-day detox with all the food and the herbs, you wait for 6 weeks. And at the end of 6 weeks, you've got a complete cycle. The parasites have an incubation cycle of about 6 weeks. And so at the end of that 6-week period, you use the colonnade, for 10 days. You take 12 capsules a day for 10 days, and that just gives you a second dose of treatment. And I highly suggest doing that along with the extra spicy food, the cayenne pepper, and maybe also include some garlic. So a really good thing to do is both at the beginning and at the end is to take some garlic cloves. And what I do is get the whole garlic cloves and swallow them. So just get a glass of water and just swallow the whole cloves of garlic, and you need to take 6 a day for 6 days. Okay, and you'll find that in the book as well. But 6 cloves of garlic for 6 days at the beginning and at the end. And that is also, it's very, very high in sulfur, so that'll not only knock the parasites for 6, but it'll also knock any other bacteria or bad bacteria that's in the gut. So I hope that's been helpful. And just want to leave you with this one last thing, which is just a little tip I have for people that I see in clinic when it comes to parasite infections. It's always good to look at the energy in your life, the energy exchange, particularly around other people. So you could say that it's very, very easy for people, I've noticed, especially common with people that have parasite problems long term, and even with candida, is there's an energy exchange problem in life where they allow people to take their energy. And it's very, very important with regards to parasite, because we have what's called a gut-brain connection, which means our gut acts like a second brain. It's an emotional brain. So whatever goes on in our gut is reflective of how we are exchanging our energy between our brain and our emotions. So it's a fascinating thing. It goes through many, many conditions that relate to gut health. But parasites is another one, and candida is another one. You've got to know when to say no and to not be a people pleaser and try to please everybody all the time. It's very, very, I've been guilty of it myself. And you've got to watch it, that there's got to be a fair energy exchange between people in order for it to be healthy for both people. So if you tend to give your energy away too much, tend to give all the time and want to please people all the time, people can latch onto that, and they can become aware of that and use it to their advantage, take advantage of you. And that's a real problem with the health of your gut, because emotionally that takes your energy. And it's not just the emotional side of things, but when we eat emotionally, we do the same thing to ourselves. We tend to eat the wrong foods. We tend to feed the parasite or the monster inside us. And when we do that, we are encouraging parasites to take root in our body. We're welcoming them, basically. So it's really important to know when to say no, to know and identify those people that are starting to take advantage of you, and to cut that relationship in some way, or draw the line at a certain point. So that, for me, it's, we use food and we use herbs, but it's really only 20% of the battle. 80% of our battle is psychosomatic. In other words, it's mind-body medicine. And that's where the healing really comes from long term. You can eliminate parasites from your body physically, you can conquer candida, but those things will tend to come back and be recurring in life, and you'll have a real struggle long term if the body-mind link isn't broken. And those are the keys to long-term success with healing of any kind. So thanks for coming along. If I haven't seen many questions to answer, but thanks for joining us, and thanks for the comments. And it's been really good to talk to you for a few minutes. We'll be doing this again. We'll try to do it every other week or so on another topic, another night. So again, thanks for coming along, and I hope it's been helpful. We'd love to get your comments and your feedback alongside the Facebook post. So see you again soon. Bye.